The Classical Style by Charles Roson. Mozart's Concerto 3.
Mozart's piano concertos composed in 1785 to 86. Let's take a deep dive into Mozart's three piano concertos written in the winter of 1785 to 86. These concertos are significant because they are the first works Mozart wrote with clarinets in the orchestra. They showcase his love for the wind instrument. The first concerto, K 482 in E-flat major, places the greatest musical reliance on tone color. It features woodwinds more prominently than any other concerto. The slow movement in C minor is of a much deeper cast, and its pathos is elegant and even theatrical. Its form is close to Haydn's beloved double variation scheme. K 488 Concerto. The concerto in A major K 488 illustrates the suppleness of the concerto form. It emphasizes the freedom of placing the last firm cadence on the dominant. K 488 features a surprise in the recapitulation, where the opening ritornello is cut off sharply after 6 measures and replaced by an entirely new theme. This new theme has a cadential flavor, but a relatively weak one. It is used as the basis for the entire development section, and is then replayed in the tonic in the middle of the recapitulation. This double nature of the theme, as both an end and a beginning, is striking and innovative. K 488, Adagio movement. Adagio in K 488 features a simple descending scale that is transformed into a poignant melody by Mozart's skillful use of parallel motion and polyphony. Arranged so that every detail comes forth with the greatest possible pathos. The harmonic suspension at the opening of measure 2 brings out the full expressive quality of the drop of the seventh in the melody. The structure of the melody may be two regular parallels, but its beauty and its passionate melancholy lie in the irregularity of rhythm and variety of phrasing which reveal every possible expressive facet of the two simple descending lines. The difference in the outline of the sixth in each of the first 3 measures is an example of the richness of invention. Most remarkable, perhaps, is the withholding of the resolution of the D in the 3rd measure of the melody until the 6th measure. Another device of unity this time between larger sections. Maybe see if we compare the opening phrase of the piano, the opening of the first tutti, and the opening of the next solo section. K 491 Concerto. Mozart's piano concerto K 491 in C minor is the greatest of the 3 concertos. It is more intimate and less operatic than K 466, and makes up in refinement what it loses in grandeur. Mozart had trouble with this concerto due to the solo exposition. A full 100 measures after the piano has entered, we have this. And yet, 60 measures later, we find the same cadence in the relative major, more expansively. The passage preceding the first cadence has most of the signs of being the end of the exposition, with all the virtuosity and almost all the finality. Between the first cadence and the closing tutti, a new secondary theme and a new closing theme are presented at length. Mozart's replay of the opening theme in the relative major and modulating within 1 measure to E-flat minor has the character of a development section. His experimentation with the final dominant cadence of the exposition is not for the sake of novelty and surprise, but comes from the character of the music and material. The first movement of Mozart's piano concerto K 491 in C minor is closely related to Haydn's Symphony No. 78 in the same key, written only 4 years before. The opening of the Haydn Symphony is recognizably like the beginning of the concerto, although Mozart's conception of phrase and period is much broader and less constrained. Unlike other concertos, the oboes in K. 491 shift from an accompanying role to the melodic part in a smooth and imperceptible manner. This shift is done with even greater smoothness than Haydn's similar procedure in Op. 33 No. 1. The irregularity of the phrase structure sets the details in relief. This makes us concentrate on the linear aspect of the music, giving unusual importance to the intervallic relations. The double solo exposition is a natural consequence of the fragmentation of the larger form. This corresponds to the inner divisions of the opening statement. Mozart's use of irregular phrase lengths enforces breadth by a largeness of statement and a symmetrical balance of the irregular elements. This is evident in the slow movement of K. 467. K. 491 features fragmentary melodic themes that are repeated insistently, as if they were all constructed as a kind of mosaic. K.491 Secondary themes. The secondary themes in this piece are repetitive and not easily developed into longer paragraphs. This is unusual for Mozart, but typical of Haydn's style. The fragmentation of the harmonic movement of the exposition corresponds to the fragmentation of the structure. This is also reflected in the melodic and rhythmic fragmentation of the material. The recapitulation must sum up the three expositions. The two secondary themes, B and C, of the piano's expositions are played now one right after the other but with C before B and A. K. 503 Concerto. K. 503 in C major is a magnificent but cold work. It is not popular with the public because the material is almost neutral in character, especially in the first movement. An opening phrase built as a series of blocks from an arpeggio. The splendor of K. 503 in C major comes entirely from the handling of the material. The different ideas in the first movement are treated in block fashion, and we are aware of the weight and pressure of the form. This is the first entrance of the piano, nothing but a continuously repeated dominant seventh tonic cadence. In his early works, Mozart displayed an exceptional ease in handling acceleration of measures such as in K. 466. This technique became routine for him in his later works. Mozart's use of simple cadences is a hallmark of his late style. He renounced harmonic color and instead used major-minor and major-relative minor relations to create shadings. But even in his later works, Mozart did not shy away from using color and orchestral effects. Die Zauberflöte is a great example of his lavish use of orchestral color to create concentrated dramatic effects. Mozart's music is a testament to the economy of means. Each effect is a concentrated one, and each stroke is a single dramatic one. The alternation of tonic major and minor is the dominant color of K503, and a prime element of the structure as well. We find it first hinted in measure 6 and more openly displayed a few measures later. This alternation is more than consistent, it is almost obsessive. The fundamental rhythmic element of the piece is first introduced by the violins in measures 18 to 19, at measure 26 it appears in the bass. A principal theme based on this rhythm is immediately played in the tonic major a few measures after this appearance in minor. Another second theme is first played in major and repeated hal in minor as its own second phrase. And finally, most Mozartian and most classical of all, after further alternation, the cadence ending the exposition is both in major and minor at once. It is a summary, an example of classical resolution as synthesis. K. 537, Coronation Concerto. Mozart's interest in the concerto waned later in life. But the Coronation Concerto in D major K. 537 deserves more respect. This concerto is historically the most progressive of all Mozart's works. It is the closest to the early or proto-romantic style of Hummel and Weber. Mozart shifted the balance between the harmonic and melodic aspects. This loosening of the harmonic and rhythmic structure requires a luxuriance of virtuoso figuration. Mozart showed how the classical style might be destroyed. The Coronation Concerto demands to be judged by later standards. The last two concertos. Mozart's last two concertos, the Clarinet Concerto in A major, KS 622, and the Piano Concerto in B-flat major, K 595, are more delicate and chamber-like than dramatic. They feature freely lyrical melodies and expressive chromaticism. The structure is neither a loose succession of melodies nor an unvaried flow. Mozart uses overlapping phrase rhythms in his last two concertos to create a lyrical invention that flows freely without losing tension or poignance. This creates both clear articulation and uninterrupted flow. The opening allegro of Mozart's last piano concerto, K 595, is more complex but leaves the same impression of continuous melody, achieved through even more delicate means. K 595 is a complex and lyrical movement with continuous melody achieved through delicate means. The dissonances are painful but softened, and the emotion never disturbs the grace of the melodic line. Both this concerto and the Clarinet Concerto are private statements with absolute simplicity. The melodies accept the reduction to an almost perfect symmetry and triumph over all its dangers.